Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Or in today's video I'm going to share my experience, the dissertation interview, or hopefully you will like the video and subscribe the channel because today's is the last session or last interview with our academic और मतलब dissertation में as I told you earlier कि dissertation में interview भी होता है supervisor के साथ और professor के साथ. तो चलो मतलब probably trying to like record कर लूँ मैं वो थोड़ा सा incident और मैं अपना भी थोड़ा सा experience record कर लूँ that how I was presenting myself in front of them. So let's start with the video और God मतलब ठीक से हो जाए बस अच्छे से पास हो जाए क्योंकि after that we will apply to the PSW और let's see कि future में क्या होता है कैसे नहीं कैसा होता है. तो चलो वीडियो को start करें.
You can share your screen. You need to give us
yes,
10
sure.
minutes to 15 minutes.
Yes, sure, Professor. Just give me a sec. In this dissertation or the project, I have used the dataset from the Kaggle repository where the dataset name is the TAPTs, where the 768 people were taken and the diabetes test was done on the basis of 9 predictor variable, which is like pregnancy, glucose, blood pressure, or skin thickness, insulin, BMI, or diabetes pedigree function, age, and the outcome was our target variable. On the basis of that, the diabetes test was done on the sum of the 768 people, and we are having the mainly two type of the diabetes, where in the type 1 the immune system fights with the insulin producing cells and it stops making the insulin, so it can cause the pancreas failure. And in type 2 we can say the like producing cells which are unable to make the insulin in the body, which can cause the weight gain or the body fat in the body. So and the type 3 diabetic is the gastrointestinal diabetes, which is very rare and it happens mostly in the pregnant women. So if we see our problem statement, which is to analyze the individuals on that Pima Indian population at the Arizona, and 768 people were taken in this test, and our main predictor variables are in this as I have mentioned earlier, blood pressure, glucose index, and pregnancies, etc. And outcome is our target variable. And according to the American Diabetes Association, they have defined 3 types of the test where we can find the person is diabetic or not. So as we can see, the last one, that is the oral glucose tolerance test, and it is done the 2 hours of the test and it checks the blood glucose level in our body. And they have defined some parameters like if the person is diabetic, then it should be 200 milligram per deciliter, then the person is diabetic. And if the value of that is less than 140 mg per deciliter, then the person is normal. So in the in the data collection we have taken the data set from the Kaggle website, and this is the link of my data set. And the target variable is outcome, and predictor variables are as defined pregnancies, glucose and blood pressure, and age, etc. In the next slide we have done some exploratory data analysis, that is the EDA, where we summarized or analyzed the data on behalf of each other. And the number of we can see the variables or the null values we have received in the glucose, that is 5, and so we have replaced the null values with the mean values, and doing that we have done with the replace function and replace glucose with the mean function. And after that, next slide, we have used the data visualization where we use the count plot in order to define the target variable. So from 768 people we can see the 1 is our diabetic persons, where it lies somewhere between 300 to 200, and approximately in the percentage if we say, that is 34.9%. and the non-diabetic persons are approx 500, which is in the percentage 65.1. those persons 65% are non-diabetic, and around 268% are diabetic. So in the next slide we have done the correlation analysis, where we use this correlation in order to define the independent variable, how they are correlated with the target variable. So in this correlation analysis, we can see the glucose and as it is having the 0.49, and the BMI, which are highly correlated, and the pregnancies, age is also the factor which are highly correlated with the outcome variable or the target variable. So we have done some feature scaling, and there are some other method, but I have just used the standard scalar method. And standard scalar method can be imported with the sklearn method, and we can see we have fit the only the trained data in order to transform it in a better way. And in the next slide, we have used train the target variable and the normal or independent variable we have stored in the x variable, and the target variable, that is outcome, we have stored it in the y variable. So in the next slide, I have used the train test split function, which we can import with the sklearn and sklearn. So in this slide, we have imported the train test split function, and the 614 variables are stored in the x train, and 154 out of 768 we have stored in the x test. So in order to say, we have divided the 80% and 20% for the testing, which is 641, and testing for the testing purpose 154. For the accuracy score, we have used three methods. The first one is the logistic regression, where we got the train accuracy, where we got the accuracy for the test score, and which is 77.27%, and after that we use the classification report for that, and if we can see the F1 score and the accuracy and the support for in the classification report, and the accuracy score was 77%. In the next slide, we use then another method, that is naive Bayes classification, and we can see the same method we have used for the classification report for the naive Bayes method as well. And the formula for this is that is the probability of A divided B is equal to probability of B divided by A into probability of A divided by B. And the last method, we have used the support vector machine, which is again the supervised machine learning model, and which is used for the classification purposes. And we can see the accuracy we got in accuracy score, we got 83%, which is the highest among all of the other method we have used, the logistic regression and naive Bayes. And in the last slide, I have compare the three models, the accuracy, and trying to plot the bar plot in using the comparison. So we can see the accuracy we got in the three of the models. And in the last slide, I have used the conclusion, where I have defined I have used three methods, and 80-20% was the percentage in order to divide the train test split. And other method I can use, I might have divided it into 30-70% or 60-40% ratio. And the other method could be used the ANN or the decision tree, random forest. So in order to guess which method is giving the much better accuracy. And these are some of my references, and this is the last slide.
Okay, so now we can ask you some questions for
yes,
this.
Please.
Let me load your thesis. So my question is mainly from the application side. So it seems to me you have done a very interesting data analysis.
Thank you, Professor.
So have you found anything that you can really draw from this result? And for example, if you know a doctor, you can give him advice based on your results.
See, Professor, this is the medical or health sector data, so it is really hard to prescribe someone based on this data set, as the data set was very small, that 768 experimented, 768 people have done on this test. But because of why we are using the machine learning in order to...
No, it's not about the methodology you are using. What I'm asking is just from a practical point of view. Is there anything you have found? For example, you do something, it's not just an application of a machine learning method.
Right.
Is that you analyze a data and then you find some interesting results.
Right.
Is there anything new or anything very interesting you can tell people that, okay, this is what I found?
Like if I get something extraordinary or something unusual, then I can suggest these data or these analysis to doctor or some medical practitioner who can maybe do some kind of the analysis, and maybe they can suggest further to the patients. But because the data set was very small, so I was unable to do...
It's very small. You still have the result, right?
Correct.
Is there anything... Because you can't just say small. You say small, the result is not useful, and then why you do the analysis, right?
Right.
So even if it's small, you must have found something. You can say that, okay, this is what I found, which is very interesting, but the result may not be very reliable because the data set is very small, okay? But I still want to know whether there is anything interesting you have found. Maybe just the answer is no. It is fine if it's no.
No, Professor, I have found, like as I use this count plot, where I found the 500 people were non-diabetic, and out of 768 people, and around 268 people were diabetic using these data set. So these were my analysis, and because of this analysis we can say, like, okay, we found like out of 768, 268 were diabetic and 500 people were non-diabetic. So these kind of the analysis we can do. And apart from this, like we draw the histogram, and we can see the pregnancies and glucose and the blood pressure, how we have drawn this. And apart from this, we use the scatter plot as well, and we try to draw how the x-axis and the y-axis, all the predictor variables. So this kind of the analysis I have done using this.
Okay, yeah, thank you. That's my question. Mario, please.
Yeah, in your results, which, by the way, you should have presented them in a way that you could easily compare how the different models perform, and you basically put it in different sections, so it's not very clear to compare them across. But anyways, in your results, you basically provide both the precision and recall, other than accuracy and F1 value, I think. Can you explain to me what's the difference between precision and recall?
The precision is the combination of recall and the precision, and it would be better if we can drag it, or if the result or the output is near to 1, that is 100%. So F1 score should be near 1, then it is better to say, like, the accuracy is better. And for the precision, we can say we got the accuracy of 0.78%, and for the
what's the meaning of precision? So what does it mean that the model, for example, has a precision of 1?
If the model is having precision 1, that means we can use that model and we can reliable on that accuracy because it is close to 1.
And what does it mean that recall is 1?
Recall is we use it for the analysis, or if the data is around like 1%, that is 100%, then it is good to use on the report we have received, or the analysis we have received.
Yeah, I mean, both things are good if they are close to 1, right? Because it means that
right.
The model is making good predictions, let's say, but they are different. And I was asking you this because now what I'm going to ask is, in the case of diabetes,
yes,
right? Imagine that you are applying your models to predict diabetes as you are doing, what is most important, that the precision is high or that the recall is high? If you had to choose one of the two, what would be more important? A high precision or a high recall?
In my opinion, the F1 score should be high. And
between precision and recall, what should be more favorable? So if you had like several models that perform in a different way, right, in terms of precision and recall, which one would be favorite? The one that performs better in precision and the one that performs better in recall, considering that your problem is trying to predict diabetes?
Professor, I'm a bit confused with those of the things, but I believe like recall would be, if it is much higher, then we shouldn't consider this, and the precision should be much better. If it is near 1, then precision should be much considered rather than the recall.
Right. Yes, that's kind of the correct answer. So the idea with diabetes is that you want a high precision.
Correct.
Because you want to basically be able to predict as many true positives as possible.
Correct.
Right?
Right.
Whether in the recall, the problem is that it is okay if you tag someone as positive, so a false positive, if you have tag someone as positive and it's not a positive, because then you are going to find out in a later test, right?
Right.
So the consequences of having a low precision are much worse than having a low recall.
Low recall.
Right?
Right.
Okay, right. Another question I have regarding the CNN 5 LSTM that you mentioned in your discussion section. What is that? How is that you bring this model? And I basically don't understand why do you bring this to discussion if you do not actually test this model at all. In the discussion section. I think it's
this one, yes.
62. Yeah. So
actually,
scroll down.
Right.
Scroll down a little bit. Yeah, here, right? So in the third paragraph, you see CNN 5
right.
LSTM with SBM achieved the maximum accuracy. You never tested this model, right?
Correct. The main reason. Sorry to interrupt. The main reason I have mentioned these things in the discussion section, because I have used very few methods in very few, like 3 of the algorithm in my machine learning test. But the thing is, I have like analyzed or researched some of the research paper the already done with the diabetics, PIMA Indian diabetics one. So I have found this one very interesting because they got approximately 95% accuracy using the CNN model with the SVM network. So in the future work, I will say, like, I will try to analyze this method rather than using these 3 methods I have used. So that is the only reason I have used this one in the discussion section, so we can improve accuracy, and as it is giving the 95% accuracy, so that's the main reason to.
And so basically what you are doing here is comparing something that you found in the
research paper,
right? When you were doing the literature review, you found
Correct.
that this method was 95%.
Right. That is the only reason I have mentioned. So in future work, if I get the chance to work on these dataset again, then I will definitely use this method CNN and with the SVM, so that I can get the maximum or the highest accuracy with the dataset.
Okay. All right. That's it from me.
Okay. I think, Rajesh, you can if you don't have any questions to ask us, you can leave. I think that's all the questions from Mario and me.
So all done with my side?
Yeah, so basically you will be noticed in January for your mark.
Sorry, I didn't get it.
Yeah, I mean the department will email your mark to you in January. Just be patient. Okay?
In January, no problem. Thank you so much, Professor, for your time.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Bye. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
How to leave. Yay! So finally, dissertation interview done. और आई डोंट नो, इन्होंने बताया मुझे कि मेरा जो जैन इनटेक था, तो इस वजह से आउटपुट जो होगा जैन में आएगा समवेयर. और होपफुली कि मैंने प्रिसिशन और रिकॉल में जो वो एक्सपेक्ट कर रहा था ना वो मैंने ठीक बताया, बट आई वाजंट एबल टू एक्सप्लेन हिम बेटर, क्योंकि मेरे को एक्चुअल में कुछ पता नहीं था। आई वाज जस्ट गेसिंग कि ये ठीक होगा, ये ठीक होगा, और तुक्का भी भिड़ गया था, मतलब ठीक ही था ऑलमोस्ट। और द थिंग इज कि चलो जान में रिजल्ट जो भी आएगा फिर उसका आउटपुट और पूरा एक वीडियो बनाऊंगा। और अगर मेरे मार्क्स अच्छे आए डिसर्टेशन को लेके, सो देन आई विल मेक अ सेपरेट वीडियो कि डिसर्टेशन कैसे करना है, बिकॉज इट्स रियली स्ट्रेसफुल मोमेंट जब आप डिसर्टेशन करते हो यूके में। और सबसे ज्यादा क्रेडिट भी इसी का ही होता है, इस मतलब इस मॉड्यूल का बोलो या इस सब्जेक्ट का बोलो, जो भी। सो चलो मिलते किसी और वीडियो में, तब तक के लिए बाय बाय। और प्रोफेसर वाज नॉट हैप्पी विद मी, आपने भी देखा ही होगा। तो चलो आज की वीडियो के लिए इतना ही, मिलते किसी और वीडियो में, तब तक के लिए बाय बाय।